Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Great to be diving in. Today, we're looking at the material you sent over, really focusing on, well, the future of world rugby and this incredible Springbok team.
Yeah, the big question hanging over everything. Are South Africa genuinely on track for a third straight Rugby World Cup? Something unprecedented.
Exactly. That's the mission. We're going deep into this run Rassie Erasmus' side is on and leaning heavily on what Wales legend Dan Biggar had to say. He watched them match that All Blacks back-to-back achievement, 2019 and 2023.
And the headline grabber, the bit that really jumps out, is Biggar's claim. He's backing them. He thinks South Africa will complete the hat-trick in Australia in 2027.
That's a massive statement, isn't it? Coming from someone like him, a former rival. Huge respect there.
It really is.
But look, before we get carried away thinking about 2027, just a quick one. If you want analysis like this, if you want to keep up with the sharpest takes on rugby,
You absolutely need to subscribe. Find Rugby Obsession wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss these deep dives.
okay, done. Right, let's ground this in the now. The Rugby Championship.
Yes, the immediate focus. The Springboks look set to keep that trophy, don't they? Assuming they do the business against Argentina this weekend at Twickenham.
And looking at the sources,
Yeah.
the feeling is pretty universal. This RC has been, well, maybe the best ever. It's certainly up there. Just packed with drama.
You can totally see why people are saying that. Some genuinely historic moments. You had Australia winning at Ellis Park, always a massive scalp.
Huge. And then Argentina finally getting that win over the All Blacks on their own turf. Massive for them. Massive for South American rugby.
But even amidst all that, the All Blacks just kept being the All Blacks, didn't they?
Yeah.
Pushing that unbeaten run at Eden Park out to, what, 52 tests? 31 years. Incredible.
It's just nuts. And that high level of competition all around just makes the Springboks potentially winning it again even more impressive.
So let's talk about how the Ball Bucks have been winning recently. Because those last two games, wow, it wasn't just the wins, it was the sheer dominance.
Exactly. That win in Wellington against New Zealand, 43-10, their biggest ever loss.
And then they backed it up against the Pumas in Durban, 67-30, just crushed them.
But here's the really interesting part, I think. You look at those score lines. Okay, big wins, but it's the second halves.
Ah, yeah, break down those numbers because they're quite something.
Right. If you just isolate the second 40 minutes in those two games, the win against the All Blacks and the win against Argentina, the combined score is 78-10 to South Africa.
78-10, that's staggering.
Think about it. 36-0 against New Zealand in the second half, 42-10 against Argentina. It tells you everything about their fitness, their bench, that whole Rassie strategy.
Yeah.
The 62 split impact, they just power away at the end.
And it's not just relentless power, is it? There are these flashes of absolute individual brilliance that sort of unlock things. Which brings us to Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu against Argentina.
Oh, absolutely. We have to talk about him. That performance, it felt like a real arrival, didn't it? 3 tries, amazing tries. And a South African record, 37 points in the match.
Yeah, but as you say, it's more than the points tally. The quality was just
Off the charts. And the sources, they weren't shy, were they? Comparing it to Dan Carter against the Lions back in 2005.
That's high praise indeed. What specifically makes that Carter comparison stick, do you think? Beyond just scoring points.
You know, it's the way he controlled the game, right? Like Carter did in 05. It wasn't just kicking penalties. It was the tactical kicking from hand, the passing, finding space, and then those tries showing pace, game sense, reading the defense. Carter dismantled that Lions team with skill and power. Mngomezulu showed that same kind of complete game for someone so young. Scary.
And that individual brilliance, it thrives because of the system Rassie Erasmus has built. Biggar calls Erasmus box office. It fits, doesn't it?
Totally fits. He's box office because he's always got an angle, hasn't he? Tactics, media, mind games, the water carrier thing. He gets results, but there's always this layer of drama, of theater. He keeps the focus on winning, but the way he does it gets everyone talking.
And look at this weekend. A final against a really dangerous Pumas side. Contepomi's got them playing well. They've beaten big teams. But Erasmus is framing it as the final for them.
Yeah, it's pure psychology, isn't it? He's making one change, Oxenig's back in, but the message is clear. This is it. This is for the trophy. No complacency.
But then you have Siya Kolisi, the captain, sort of balancing that, saying, you know, records aren't the focus. It's about honoring the new guys coming through.
And that's the blend, isn't it? Bringing in talent like Mngomezulu, but keeping those incredibly high standards driven by the experienced core.
Which loops us right back to Biggar's main point.
Yep.
He summed it up saying the Bokkes are the absolute benchmark. That's why he wouldn't bet against them for the hat trick, because of their flexibility.
The full package, he called it.
Right, the full package. What does that mean in practice tactically?
Biggar spelled it out. They can play, scintillating rugby if they want to. Ball in hand, backs running riot, exploiting gaps the scrum creates. Fast, skillful stuff.
Okay, plan A.
Yeah, but if plan A isn't working, if the game gets tight, becomes a dogfight in that last quarter, they just switch. They go to muscle, bring on the bomb squad, grind it out through the forwards, dominate the set piece, win ugly if they have to.
That adaptability, it must be a nightmare to prepare for.
Exactly. How do you counter a team that can beat you in completely different ways?
Okay, let's get to that bit from the analysis, the real deep dive nugget, as you called it, the part that underlines Biggar's scary warning to everyone else. Because this is where it gets, well, frankly, a bit terrifying for the opposition.
Right, this is the core of it. That massive 43-10 win against New Zealand. Their biggest ever loss, remember. You'd think, okay, that must have been a near-perfect Springbok performance, right? Flawless execution.
You would assume so. Minimal errors, total discipline.
But the stats, they tell a completely different story. And this is the bit that makes you pause.
Okay, don't leave us hanging.
In that game, that record win, South Africa conceded 24 turnovers and 7 penalties.
Wait, 24 turnovers? They turned the ball over 24 times and still inflicted the All Blacks' biggest ever defeat.
Exactly. That's the scary part. They were so far from perfect in terms of ball retention. Discipline wasn't spotless, and yet they still won by that much.
So the implication, if they're doing that while being that sloppy, what happens if they actually clean it up, if they cut those turnovers down?
That's precisely Biggar's point. He says, and you can see why, that this team can still be a lot better. Their sheer power and defensive are currently covering over some pretty significant error rates.
So if they manage to reduce those turnovers, maybe get them down to, say, 12 or 15 per game, which is still quite a lot, but more normal.
Then the margins of victory could get even bigger, or they just become even more consistently unbeatable. It's that potential for improvement on top of current dominance that's so alarming for rivals.
Which explains why, even this far out from Australia 2027, the bookies have them as clear favorites already. What was it, 114?
Yeah, about that. Clear favorites. But look, before then, there's this Saturday, Twickenham, the Rugby Championship decider against Los Pumas.
Argentina are definitely capable of an upset on their day. Dangerous team.
For sure. But the odds tell the story of current form, don't they? South Africa are 111 on end. Massive favorites to lift the trophy.
And Twickenham's almost become like a second home for them when they're not playing England, hasn't it?
It really has. Remember that World Cup warm-up against New Zealand there last year? 35-7. They smashed Wales there 41-13 just last summer. The vibe will be pure green and gold.
Yeah, the South African support turns out in huge numbers in London. It won't feel like a neutral venue, more like Ellis Park West or something.
Pretty much. A home away from home they've successfully claimed.
Okay, so we've heard the analysis, the dominance, the emerging stars like Mngomezulu, the tactical flexibility, and this, frankly, terrifying room for improvement. Now we want to throw it over to you listening.
Yeah.
What really stands out to you about this Springbok team and their potential?
Yeah. Do you buy Biggar's prediction? History in 2027? Let us know. Drop a comment with your thoughts and your prediction for the final against Argentina, too.
And please, if you're getting value from this, if you're enjoying the deep dive, make sure you hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession. Don't miss out.
So just to wrap it up neatly, 2 key things to take away. First, Biggar's assessment. The Springboks are the absolute benchmark, the full package, power, skill, depth, tactics.
Check. And second, that scary warning, they haven't peaked. The fact they dominated the All Blacks despite making 24 turnovers, that suggests there's another level they can reach, which should worry every other top nation.
Definitely. But there's always a but, isn't there? Even amidst all this success, there's a potential snag down the line, something former Bokke captain Jean de Villiers pointed out.
Ah, yes, the age profile. Go on.
Well, de Villiers apparently warned Erasmus about relying too heavily on that experienced core. Some key players aren't getting any younger.
So if that core starts to decline physically, even slightly, could that become what was the phrase? A very big problem.
That seems to be the concern. Balancing experience with timely regeneration. The classic champion's dilemma, isn't it?
Right.
Something to keep an eye on as they chase that third title. A little thought to chew on.
Indeed. The challenge of staying on top. Right, that's us for this session.
A fascinating dive.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we will look forward to you listening to our next episode.